Back to the huddle. Carlos Roberto along with Jake Berry here on Fox Sports 1700, brought to you by Miracle Medical in Weslaco, home of the Don Joy Brace. Christina Salas, State Farm Insurance in McAllen, 994-0007. And McDonald's, I'm loving it, across the Rio Grande Valley, now serving breakfast all day. On the phone now is Coach Tony Villarreal, the winning coach of the 31-6A district champion Weslaco Panthers. And, Coach, congratulations for the third year in a row you win the Tinaco Bowl, back-to-back years you're district champions.
Well, thank you, Carlos. We appreciate that.
Tell me, Coach, what was it like a little bit this week? Because the school district did a lot this week to try to promote the good spiritedness and the the sportsmanship between these two schools, because the rivalry was getting a little bit heated there between Weslaco and Weslaco East, and so they got you guys together at the beginning of the season for a little barbecue to talk it out and say, hey, guys, we want a little bit more sportsmanship shown in this game, and then y'all had a breakfast. So what was it like this week for you guys as head coaches? Because on one side, you're over here shaking hands with being, real good friends with the opposing team, and then you got to get these guys up to play it and trying to get them emotionally ready for the game. So maybe behind the lockers, you're like, hey, guys, we got to go out there and kill them. So what was it like for you guys?
Well, the head coaches has got the most difficult job. The position coaches have to get them ready, X's and O's and strategy, and we kind of, I guess, as a head coach, at least in my camp, I just finalized all the smaller details, but in this case it was a bigger deal, because of the situation. But I think kids are going to be kids, and they like each other, and there's primos and friends and ex-junior high buddies, and it worked out well. I didn't think it was a big issue. I mean, there might have been a little misunderstanding last year, and I think the West Coast East kids showed a lot of class, and I think we've always demonstrated good sportsmanship and brotherhood, and the love for both teams came out last night after the game.
Yeah, I think you said it best on Friday that you don't remember that two teams playing for the district championship from the same school district, especially in back-to-back years. So that was quite an honor. I know for the superintendent, you guys want to win both those games, and you did. So I mean, you kind of said it best that it was just really good for Weslaco overall.
Oh, absolutely. I think we've got two fine programs, and now you play for keeps. If you lose a game now, you're packing it up. So it's the real deal now. You can't afford to lose a game or make a mistake, because you can be packing up the equipment next Saturday.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about the game. They start off, on a touchdown. They run it back 101 yards for a score. What goes through your mind when you see that? Of course, you're upset, because your football team didn't execute on that play, but you say, like, hey, we got to just get back to work. Is that what you do?
Yeah, you just try to, we prepare our kids in different scenarios, Carlos, and we kind of went through that scenario. We've been fortunate. We've been ahead in most games. But, you always got to remember that there's another team on the other side, and they're very well prepared. And so we put them through, like, three different scenarios. We actually talked to them about, hey, what happens when, you're winning by 7 or 14 points? How do you play? How do you stay focused? And then, what happens when it's a tight ball game, 7-7 or 21-21 like it was last night? Or what happens when you're down by 7 or down by 14? You actually have to put yourself and visualize how you're going to play, how you're going to stay focused. And not only the kids, the coaches. The coaches have to be sharp, and they have to stay focused. They have to stay lasered in on what their job. Everybody's got a job to do. I got a job. I call the plays. I got a guy that's making the adjustments. Everybody's got to do the job. And when one guy gets a little unfocused, then stuff like that happens. And so you have to just refocus. And so we put them through those three scenarios. And hopefully, they're mentally ready, not only the kids, but the coaches.
Wow, I've never heard of that before. I mean, I've heard of the pregame talks and stuff like that, but you zone in a little bit more and put them in those game situations, and you play kind of psychologist.
Right, yeah. You got to put them in all three scenarios, because you never know when you're going to be – it's going to be tight, 14-14. And we try to make them visualize that the night before, and and work on a little visualization, and then I get the coaches to do the position meetings and talk to them about those kind of things. And because those three scenarios will happen, and you just don't want to lay an egg if you get down by 7 or 14, because it's going to happen.
Yeah, so you get them mentally ready. That's excellent. I never heard in all the interviews I've ever done with coaches in my years of broadcasting, I've never heard coaches do that. So, okay, well, great. Awesome, Coach. So it's a close game, 21-21 at the half. And then you guys, are you mentally thinking of are you like just trying to rack your brains at how to break through and break away from the Wildcats there at halftime, Coach?
Well, yeah, I know. You know, we've got our basic procedure, basic routine that we handle, and we meticulously go through every offensive set and step by step. We change some things up, and I think you saw where we broke the trap up the middle there. We ran right at them. They were giving us the outside, and they were pretty much, their game plan was to stop Major and Brian inside and take away our traps. Our fullbacks have been very, very devastating throughout the year, and they had a good scheme, but we just changed a couple of things, and you know we knew we needed to get the inside game running a little bit the third quarter, so that hopefully in the fourth quarter we could unleash Brian or Justin Coronado or Major Free on the or the quarterback outside.
And I think also it held true, Coach, when you talked about earlier this week how you guys have been in the big games. That really helped out last night, yeah.
Oh, it pays huge dividends. I mean, you just cannot, you cannot say enough about that. And playing the big games, a lot of people don't want to do it, but I do. I always want to play what I call the money games, where we pack the stands and early in the year, I want to play the most successful programs early, because they'll number one, they're going to get your team ready, and number two, you're going to find out who can play, who can't play early.
Yeah, and the key, and you guys were ready. The crowd, I'm sure, was not affecting your team at all. The intensity of this game, the media surrounding the game, all the extracurricular things that went on with this contest. You hit the nail on the head earlier this week when you talked about that.
Yeah, we did get a little. I mean, you're right, but we did miss a line a couple times, and we had some nerve. We did make some mistakes, but for the most part, the big media, we had the Fox State Game of the Week network. We had that thing in media and cameras and everything, so that kind of helped us for this game. It did.
Coach, George, thank God he's a junior. He made that big play that he stripped the ball there, scored, hit the ball. They got to try to answer to make it 28-28, but instead he strips the ball and y'all get the ball back. That was just a huge play for you guys.
Yeah, our defense, they had us back on our heels, but I think we got back to basics and started reading what we needed to read. And some of our better kids, some of our more experienced kids, our juniors, Diego Rodriguez and Jordan Nichols and Justice Free, they came up big this week, and we've been leaning on them, and they've done a great job all year long. But yeah, we really need some big plays on defense.
Yeah, I saw on the I didn't get a chance to watch the whole game. I will later on today, but I saw some nice passing from Desi Rodriguez. You all passed the ball a little bit last night.
Yeah, well, we're gonna do what everybody knows. We're gonna run the ball. I mean, that's I think when you have an experienced offensive line, you're gonna do that. But we get in a situation, we're gonna throw the play action or the spread or whatever. But whatever we do, the quarterback's got to execute. And it's really hard for Desi because we don't throw it that much. But when we do throw it, it's like life and death, and he is so cool. I mean, he's got ice water in his veins, and he came up with clutch passes. I mean, the pass to Ryan Lugo over the middle probably won the game, and then that out pattern to Brian Guerra, that kind of killed the clock, gave us another first down, and that was two clutch passes, huge passes.
And he's got a little bit of, when he runs with the ball, he's got a little shake and bake there where a little ankle breaker. He's got some moves when he runs as well. Does Desi Rodriguez?
Yeah, he really does. And I think he was the X factor last night. I mean, running the quarterback. I think I think they were expecting it, but they didn't know how effective because I had shown it. So it was really it was a good coming out party for Dez.
Coach, what's the status on Major Freak? Because last night the injury looked bad, and then he came back in the game. But he's
no?
Good?
It was just a cramp.
Oh, okay, that's good.
It was so humid. I got all over his butt. I said, you need to start running more. At the end of the year, you should already be in shape. I was on his butt about that, but it is what it is. He ran so hard and he executed so well that he probably had extra effort, extra exertion, and that he's never done, ever. I mean, he ran like I've never seen him run before. I mean, we thought that he was pretty good, or very good, but I saw some stuff that I'd never seen him do ever. And so I know he really wanted to run harder and put a little shake and bake and then power game, run over people. Yeah, it just caught him at a bad angle, but it cramped up on him.
Yeah,
the calf. It was a calf.
Yeah, go ahead, Jake.
Oh no. Yeah, it looked bad when I was watching on video, but then when he came back in, I'm like, okay, it must be.
It's a calf.
Yeah, either that or he's just that strong. But hey, Coach, what does it feel like? You're going to be playing Los Fresnos again. This was kind of a few years ago. This was your this was one of the better rivalries in the Valley.
Yeah, I mean, we've played them several years. I know when we were there, or back in the day when Shaq and Dylan were here, we played Scott Ford and company, and we never could get past them. But the last couple of years, we've played. I think we went over there and won the first district title there at their place. I think Finley was the first-year coach or second year, and then we played them again. We beat them in the by-district round. But that might have been 3 years ago, and then 2 years ago, we played them again in 13, and they beat us at our place on the by-district. So, yeah, that I know of, just right off just recent history, it's been 3 years. It could be, if you go back all the way to Scott Ford years, it was kind of like it's been 6 years. And they were in our conference, too. They were in our district. So, it was tough to get past those guys.
All right, so you guys will be playing against Los Fresnos. That game will be at home, Coach. You talked about this earlier this week, the second season for you guys. How do you refocus the kids? So much hype going up into this game against Weslaco East, and now you got to refocus them and get them ready because, by district in second round, third round, all of that is achievable.
Yeah, one of the things that we do, our coach staff is real experienced. We've been in this situation the last couple of years. We've been fortunate, but one of the things we go back and we just start teaching the basic fundamentals. We go back to, we teach, and that's the key. We're not just yelling and screaming and coaches. We're actually teaching the basic fundamentals of quarterback play, of linebacker play. It's like we go back and we go back through all the baby steps like we were back in August. And so, because what happens through the year, through the schedule, you tend to get a little sloppy. You tend to get a little. So this evaluation of this film will be very critical. It'll be the hardest. We'll grade the hardest this game, even though we won, and you'll probably have the lowest scores on grade films. And because we want to be extremely nitpicking and critical, because you're playing a team that's probably as good as you or better, and so you have to be fundamentally sound, and you cannot take a false step or a false read or have bad habits, because they will exploit that, and you got to be almost letter perfect. The execution, the effort is going to be almost letter perfect, if that's possible.
Coach, I've been following you for a long time, since your days at Port Isabel. How much more fun is it now than it was back then? Because you have all that experience that you could draw back on. I don't want to say it seems easier, but the knowledge that you have now, and it seems like you're just putting it all to great use now there in Weslaco.
Yeah, I mean, the bigger thing, and I was asked that question by one of my staff members who was at La Feria, Domingo Vento, but he asked me the same question. It's funny you say that. But, when you're in 3A, you're kind of shorthanded. Not only the fact that you don't have a lot of coaches, so you have to kind of be the master of everything, or including the bus driver and the laundry guy and the trainer and everything. You got to do everything, and then the other thing is sometimes you don't have the high quality coaches. Like in 6A and 5A, you've got so many good coaches, and there's just a lot of them. So consequently, what you can do now, you can sit back and you can delegate and you turn it loose. You delegate and you don't have to micromanage or run every part of the program. You got Ross Moore, who I think is a potential head coach and defense coordinator. You got John Mark Avil, who runs the line. And then I just kind of walk around and just kind of filter it. Oh, no, I don't like this, and I like this. And I just kind of cross my T's and dot my I's. And it really is more effective because you got – and most of the guys that are coaching for me played for me, either at Port Isabel or Brownsville-Hanna or PSA North or somewhere. And these guys know. I mean, they know they're fundamental. I mean, they're masterful teachers. And so I just go around just shoring it up and just making it look a little prettier than what it already is, because they're pretty damn good coaches.
But I've seen you out there, Coach. You're a hands-on coach, though.
Well, every once in a while, there's some things I like to do, and I kind of think I can do it. I don't have the energy like I used to. I mean, I let the young guys get them all rod, and I go in there once in a while. They'll let me run a drill once in a while. Those young guys, they kind of put me out the pasture once in a while,
All right, Coach. Well, congratulations. It's been fun watching you guys all this year, from training camp in the summer to a winning district title, and we look forward, like you said, to that second season.
Oh, I appreciate your coverage, Carlos and Jake, and thank you for covering us, and we hope to put on a good show in the second season.
All right, Coach. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so that's Coach Tony Villarreal, and excellent. I mean, these guys just do it year in and year out, especially the last 2 years, and winning back-to-back district championships.
Yeah, the crazy thing is people have asked me this question. They're like, is he really that big of a jerk? Because there's this stigma about him that people say he's a big jerk. And I'm like, look, I've never had that. I've never had that with him. I mean, we've always had a really good, relationship. Even we had that show before on the other station, he would call up and I remember him calling and saying, we were talking about McDonald's food, and he called in to tell us a story about McDonald's food, like, place in Louisiana. He's always been really good with us. I've never had a problem with him. I call him like the Nick Saban of Valley football, because people sometimes love to hate him, but if you get to talk to him, you can see why kids buy into the program, because he is a good salesman. Like, and I'm not saying a salesman, I'm saying he sells the program. You believe him when he says something.
He's one of those coaches that'll make you run through a brick wall. He's one of those coaches who is just excellent. And, like I said, we've got a chance to follow him, do some behind-the-scenes stuff, and he gets these kids motivated. He does a very good job. They will do anything for him. And I've talked to several of his former players. My nephew actually played for him up at Hanna. My son was at Brownsville-Hanna. He played for him, and he just loves coaching. And everybody loves their high school coach. And he's for the most part. And he's just one of those guys. He's been around for a very long time. I guess he is the winningest active coach right now in the Rio Grande Valley. And I think he's doing more than he's ever done before. I mean, think about what he's talking about, getting the kids to visualize. We didn't do that in high school. Yeah. Visualize if you're down by 14 points. We didn't do that. We kind of just did it on the fly, but he's learned so much, maybe from coaching schools and from coaching himself and reading and doing all this, and now he's implementing it there in Weslaco, and he's got the athletes. It's like the perfect storm there in Weslaco over the past few years.
Yeah, most definitely.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break right now. We got more coming up here on the show. We're going to talk a little bit about maybe who the player of the year could be, who the coach of the year may be, maybe offensive player, maybe defensive player. Some of those nominations, I know Greg Selberg will come up and give away those awards at the end of this playoff season, at the end of the season. But we're going to go ahead and talk about that when we come back. Fox Sports 1700, I'm Carlos Roberto along with Jake Berry.